Nina sat in the back of the van, her heart racing as the eerie silence enveloped her. The air felt thick, heavy with an unshakable sense of dread. Her mind raced, desperately trying to process what had just happened. The familiar faces of her classmates now felt like ghosts haunting her thoughts, their vacant eyes staring into her soul. The van glided through the mist, the headlights cutting through the fog like a knife. The driver remained motionless, his gaze fixed on the road ahead as if he were navigating a world beyond the physical realm. Nina felt a chill run down her spine. Where were they going? What had happened to the others? Desperate for answers, she leaned forward, her voice trembling as she addressed the driver. "Where are you taking us? What's happening?" He didn't respond. His silence was more terrifying than any words he could have spoken. Frustration bubbled up inside her. "Please, you have to tell me something." The driver's expression remained unchanged, an unsettling calmness in the face of her growing panic. She turned back to the interior of the van, searching for something, anything, that could explain the madness. But it was just her, the driver, and the oppressive fog outside. Suddenly, the van lurched to a stop. Nina's heart skipped a beat as she glanced out the window. The landscape had shifted. Instead of the dense woods, they were now parked in front of an old, dilapidated school building. Its windows were shattered, and the once vibrant paint had long since faded. Weeds climbed up the cracked walls, and a heavy silence blanketed the area. "What is this place?" she whispered, fear gnawing at her insides. The driver didn't move. Instead, a cold gust of wind blew through the open door, beckoning her to step outside. Nina hesitated, a mix of curiosity and terror coursing through her veins. But she knew she couldn't stay trapped in the van forever. Gathering her courage, she stepped out into the fog. As she moved toward the school, a shiver ran down her spine. The air felt charged, as if the building itself was alive, watching her every move. She took a deep breath, the scent of decay filling her lungs. With each step, memories flooded her mind. Time spent laughing in classrooms, the thrill of school dances, and the bonds of friendship that now felt so distant. But this was different. This was a place of despair. Nina reached the entrance, the door hanging loosely on its hinges. She pushed it open, the sound echoing eerily through the empty halls. The interior was dark and musty, the remnants of a once lively school now consumed by time and neglect. Desks lay overturned and debris littered the floor. "Hello?" she called, her voice trembling. "Is anyone here?" Silence answered her. As she ventured deeper into the school, shadows danced at the edge of her vision. She turned quickly, but there was nothing, just the remnants of a place that once thrived with laughter and learning. The atmosphere felt thick, as if the walls held secrets too heavy to bear. Nina stumbled upon a classroom, the door slightly ajar. She pushed it open, stepping inside. Desks were strewn about, and a chalkboard was covered in faded equations, remnants of lessons long forgotten. But what caught her attention was a figure sitting in the back corner, still and silent. Her heart raced as she approached. It was a girl, her head bent low, hair covering her face. "Are you okay?" Nina asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The girl looked up slowly, and Nina gasped. It was Melissa. Her eyes were hollow and her expression vacant, as if she were trapped in a trance. "Help us," she murmured, her voice distant. "We can't escape." "Melissa!" Nina cried, reaching out to her. "Where are the others? What happened?" But before she could grasp Melissa's hand, the girl recoiled, her expression shifting to one of terror. "Don't touch me! He's watching!" Nina stepped back, confusion and fear battling within her. "Who's watching? The driver?" Melissa nodded slowly, her eyes wide with fear. "He's not human. He collects us one by one. We thought we could escape, but he always finds us." A shiver of dread coursed through Nina. "What do you mean?" How do we get out of here? Melissa shook her head. You can't. He controls everything. We're trapped in his nightmare. Just then, the van's engine roared to life outside, echoing through the empty hallways. Melissa's expression twisted in fear, and she scrambled to her feet. You have to go. He's coming. Before Nina could respond, the classroom door burst open, revealing the driver standing there, his cold eyes fixed on her. Time to go, he said, his voice a low, gravelly whisper. Nina felt a rush of panic. No, I won't go with you. She turned to Melissa, desperation clawing at her throat. What do I do? But the driver stepped forward and Melissa's terrified eyes met Nina's. You can't fight him. Just run. Find the others if you can. With that, Melissa van, leaving only the echo of her words hanging in the air. Nina turned and bolted down the hallway, her heart pounding in her chest. She didn't know where she was going, only that she had to escape. She dashed through the empty rooms, glancing over her shoulder to see the driver's shadow looming behind her, relentless and unyielding. The school was a maze of darkness and despair, each corner more terrifying than the last. She pushed open door after door, searching for a way out, but every exit led her back to the same haunted halls. The sound of footsteps echoed behind her, drawing closer. As she rounded a corner, she stumbled into a gymnasium. The vast space was filled with shadows, the remnants of a once vibrant school spirit now faded. In the center of the gym stood a rusted basketball hoop, the floor coated in dust. Guys, she called out, desperation lacing her voice. Where are you? For a moment there was only silence. Then, from the shadows, figures began to emerge. Ethan, Jake, and even Mr. Harris, their expressions mirroring the same hollow despair she had seen in Melissa's eyes. Nina, Ethan called, his voice breaking. We thought we lost you. What's happening? She demanded, rushing toward them. How do we escape? Jake shook his head, fear etched across his features. We're trapped. He keeps us here, taking us one by one. Nina turned to Mr. Harris, hoping for some reassurance. We can't just give up. There has to be a way out. The teacher looked at her, his face pale. I wish I could say otherwise, but we've tried everything. He knows every move we make. Suddenly, the gymnasium doors slammed shut, plunging them into darkness. The sound echoed ominously as the figures of their classmates were engulfed in shadow. No! Nina screamed, panic rising. We can't let him take us! The driver's laughter echoed through the darkness, a cold, chilling sound that sent shivers down her spine. You can't escape me. You belong to me now. The lights flickered on, illuminating the gym. The driver stood at the entrance, his eyes gleaming with malevolent delight. The others stood frozen in place, their expressions blank, like puppets on strings. Nina felt a surge of defiance rise within her. You won't take us. We're not yours. With a burst of adrenaline, she charged toward the driver. He stepped aside, and as she passed him, she grabbed a basketball from the floor. In one fluid motion, she turned and threw it at the driver with all her might. The ball hit him squarely in the chest, but instead of reacting, he merely laughed, his form flickering for a moment as if he were made of smoke. Foolish girl, he sneered. You think you can fight me? But the moment of doubt she had created ignited something within the others. They stirred, shaking off the fog that had clouded their minds. Let's do this, Jake shouted, gathering courage. We have to fight. They rushed the driver together, determined to break free from his grasp. But just as they reached him, he raised his hand and the air crackled with energy. In an instant, Nina found herself thrown backward, crashing into the gym wall. Dazed, she struggled to rise, watching in horror as her friends were pushed back, their bodies hitting the ground with heavy thuds. The driver stepped closer, a sinister smile playing on his lips. You cannot resist. I am your only way out." Nina gritted her teeth, refusing to succumb to despair. She couldn't let him win. As she scrambled to her feet, she glanced around the gym, searching for anything that could help them. Then she saw it, a window high above the gym. It was cracked, allowing a sliver of light to seep through. "Guys, we have to reach that window!" she shouted, pointing toward it. "We can escape if we work together." With newfound determination, the group rallied. They pushed against the driver, who snarled in frustration. But together, they pressed forward, their combined strength forcing him back. Nina leaped, reaching for the window ledge as her friends lifted her up.